Good evening and welcome to WYTV7. I am broadcasting live with Mr. Arthur Roland. I am here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we are absolutely thrilled that you are joining us tonight. I am so excited to introduce to you a very, very special guest that we have the privilege and honor of interviewing tonight. Arthur Roland, I've already called his name, but let me tell you just a little bit about him. He is a gifted guitarist. He is a Southern gospel artist. He's a human justice humanitarian, and the best title of all, out of all of those, is he is a man of God. And Arthur, I just have to tell you, thank you so much for taking time out of your very, very busy schedule to come on this broadcast tonight and just share a little bit about your life and what God is doing for you in your life. And I have to tell you that you're probably one of my favorite guests so far, because music speaks to my soul like nothing else can. And so having the privilege to interview you and kind of get inside your head, inside the head of an artist, is really, really special for me. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you share with our listening audience just a little bit of a backdrop story about where you've come from, what God has done in your life, and kind of to where He's brought you to today. If you don't mind, I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you share your testimony.
Well, first of all, let me say hello and good evening to everyone, and to you, Marie. I'm honored to be here. Well, my story is one of many, and like most people in the world, I grew up in a small town, no traffic light, population 200. Just had a inkling for music. Music was always something that was in my family, and we did. My father was a preacher doing that whole thing, and I grew up as a church musician. And one day along, groups traveling through, artists that were traveling artists heard me and decided to take me under wings and take me on the road. The rest is history. I've been all over the world, performed for a couple of presidents, queens in different countries, stayed in castles, but it was all through music. But also for the sake of that music, I've been blessed to be able to obtain a lot of worldly things, some of which for the sake of that music I had to give up. And when I talk about that, a lot of people don't understand, but when I say that, sometimes this business can swallow you up. And you can get sold out to that. My whole purpose of why I started my music was for the message and deliver the good news about God to His people. But when it becomes a business, there are decisions you have to make that not necessarily of that aspect. So when I was faced with the decisions of having to do some things that I really wasn't comfortable with record labels, and I said no, I was pretty much dropped from all of that. To explain it to you, I went from being a guy that had a 4-car garage, 10, 12-bedroom house, to living in my car for the sake of that. After traveling all over the world and did all these great things and writing for all these great artists. But God said, and I thought He was failing me, but I said to Him, I said, if I'm doing what you have me to do and I'm standing up for what I believe is right, why am I in this place? And He was just saying to me that I needed you at this time in this place, to where I could just have your focus and your attention. The reason I have you here where you are in this car, because it's just you and me. There's nothing else to distract you. There's no trying to please the mass media or trying to please your record company and stuff. It's just me and you. And He said, honestly, you've forgotten the source. And you're so busy trying to keep up everything that you've accomplished and trying to please everybody, you've forgotten the source, and that's me. And I need to take you away from that. And He said, but don't worry. He said, if it seems surreal to you like a dream, He said, this is just temporary. It's your situation, not your circumstance. And I was at ease with that because I realized that where I was, I knew that I wasn't supposed to be there and I couldn't be here long. But He said, in a year's time, after I'm done, I'm going to raise you back up and I'm going to give you everything that I'll allow the devil to take from you. And I'm going to give it to you 10 times over. So within 330 days or so, about 35 days of that year that He said, He restored it all to me, gave it back to me twice over, but with a new understanding of my purpose for what I was doing. I never understood that at the age of 5 years old when I went to sleep and had a dream that I could play guitar. And I woke up and I was playing guitar like I've been playing all my life. I didn't understand that, that ramification of what it was. I just, I never thought about it. Reflected later that was a calling on my life. I thought I did what I do because I'm just good at it. I didn't, you just feel like you practice, you're good at what you do. I didn't understand the real purpose behind what God had for me and planned that it was a calling on my life. And whether I wanted to do it or not, I couldn't stop doing it because I made the decisions to stop doing what I'm doing because the music was taking too much of my life. I had no personal life. I had no personal time. And so even when I stopped doing what I'm doing, my body physically became sick and weak. I couldn't even get out of bed. And that's when I realized after about 3 days of being in the bed and the cover becoming so heavy that I couldn't even get it off me. I said, I'm physically deteriorating day by day since I stopped doing this. And I had a guitar sitting on the stand, much like the one sitting here in my studio beside my bed. And I literally pushed myself out of the bed because I said, I can't stay here, I'm dying. And when I put my hand on the guitar, all my strength came back into my body. Instantly, I could feel it happening. And it was an amazing thing. And then I started to realize then that what I'm doing is not because I'm good at it or because I want to do it. I realized that what I'm doing is because this is God calling on my life. And so when I started walking in that purpose, I started to understand the importance of my music, the words, the lyrics, everything that I'm doing, and how it's changing people's lives. So I started to look at it not so cavalier anymore. And I started to understand that everything I do has a purpose, and this platform was given to me for a reason. So that's why ever since then, it's been all up and upward for me.
That is absolutely, wow. That is an amazing testimony. So just in what you've said, obviously that's what makes your music so different, is because you really are spirit-led with what you share with people. And obviously that's the difference that is felt. I know there's so many music artists out there, but I've always said that you can surely feel the difference. When you listen to a song and you know that it came from a place of desperation or of hope or whatever it is. Let me just, out of curiosity, what inspires you the most as a music artist? Because you write a lot of your own music, correct? Or a lot of your own songs?
I write and produce and play every instrument on everything that I do. And I'm inspired by so many things, television, things people say. The last album, for instance, I did, I was living in St. Louis, Missouri, to make it short. And I was asked to come to Ferguson during the Michael Brown situation. And along with this lady named Robbie Montgomery, who has a television show called Sweet Pies. It's on the Open Network. And she has a restaurant there. She's a friend of mine. We went there. She asked to come. They were asked by the city to come and speak to some people to try to bring down the oppressed there. And as I was driving in, I was in this car and I couldn't hear anything outside. The car was really quiet inside, but I'm looking out of the window and I'm seeing the police walking and marching with the shields and people picketing with the signs and the lights and sirens and everything. And it was like a movie backdrop. But that movie backdrop was just ushering songs into my head. It was like I was writing a soundtrack to what I was seeing. And the whole last album came from that.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. I always find it so interesting how God can take just normal life and yet, it becomes music. Normal life becomes music and becomes songs and becomes stuff that speaks to our very soul. And I absolutely love that. I have another question for you. So I know that you do your music, you have a lot of things that you're involved in, but what else do you use your platform for?
I use my platform, as I say, to speak on a lot of social issues. So many things people are talking about. Black lives matter, but I think all lives matter. There's so much poverty in our own country, and we're dealing with stuff and spending trillions of dollars trying to feed other people when we have homeless people in our country. Yet, when we say we live in the greatest country in the world, I've spent years at a time and staying in places like Amsterdam. There are no homeless people. Even the prime minister rides a bicycle. They're not they're not misusing funds. They pay higher taxes, but they pay higher taxes so everybody has insurance. Everybody has some kind of health care. Now, if we are the greatest country in the world, why can't we adopt something as simple as that? And those are the things that I try to bring attention to with people. We are such a wasteful place. And at the same time, we talk about hunger and homelessness in our own environment around us. So I just try to bring attention to that and the fact of what we can do to change that simple things.
Gosh, that speaks to my heart. I have gone on a mission trip. Well, I have 2 kids that I adopted from Guatemala, but and then we went back there on a mission trip for 8 days, and I came home, and I know exactly what you mean. You come back to America, and we're so spoiled that, and we don't, a lot of times we don't even realize it until we go into another country and see the poverty that's in other countries, and yet the people are so happy. And coming back home, I couldn't get over how angry we were here, and we had so much. So it was definitely an eye-opening experience. But so another question for you: what's your vision for your music going forward? I mean, it may be the same as when you started, but what is it today? Has it changed?
My vision for my music has changed tremendously. I started out as a gospel musician, a gospel singer. I still am that, because I still, as the meaning of gospel is the good news. I still tell the good news. I just was concentrating at a young age in the synagogues and the churches and that kind of environment. My music has just outgrown that. I take it to the world, to the clubs, to the sound stages with other artists like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and all the rock artists I do the same music. I do the same message. And it resonates to all people. I just try to write music now that speaks to the masses versus one demographic or one type of person.
That is very interesting. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit, I know that we're kind of running out of time, but tell me a little bit about what your venture to come is. What's your plans? Where are you going?
Well, you know what? God is opening up so many doors. I want to get into screenwriting, movies. I want to get into doing a lot of acting. I want to be that guy that finds an avenue, an industry to help indie artists, indie writers, indie actors, anything that people are trying to do for themselves. I want to develop something, stage that allows and that is dedicated towards helping anything that people are trying to do indie, to give them the same platform, the same material, the same venues that the mainstream artists have. That is my desire to do that.
That is absolutely beautiful. And I love how you allow God just to work in and through you. And, you know, so many times people fight change, yet I think so many times if we're not careful, we put God in a box and we box him in. And, you know, our God is so big and so awesome that he does not like to be boxed in. And so it is really, really so important, I think, in the Christian walk, is to keep our minds open to what a big God we serve, because he will take us in places and directions that our little human minds can't even imagine. And I love your testimony, because it looks like God did exactly that and is doing exactly that in your life. And oh my gosh, Mr. Arthur, that is beautiful, and that is awesome that you're allowing God to use you in the way that you are. So I applaud you. Thank you again so much for coming on WYTV7 tonight with What's Your Testimony. It has absolutely been my honor, joy, and pleasure to get to speak with you. I cannot wait to meet you in person one day real soon. So let's definitely stay in touch now that you are part of the family at WYTV7. And we will be praying you on as you go from city to city and sharing that good news and impacting people wherever you go. So thank you again so much for coming on the show. And to all of our listening audience, don't ever give up. I don't know where you're at tonight. I don't know what is going on in your life. But I will challenge you, just like Mr. Arthur shared with us tonight. He went from having it all to literally being homeless, living out of his car. Yet he never gave up on God. And God has restored back to him 10 times what he's had before, and he will do the same for you. So keep the faith and know that God is able to do the impossible in your life, no matter what it is that you're facing. So thank you for tuning in tonight and listening to us, and I hope we've been an encouragement to you. We value you, our WYTV7 family, and on that note, good night.
Good night.